All right, so are you ready to dive into some really, really interesting stuff? You sent over this big pile of documents all about India Post. And wow, let me tell you, it is way more than just sending letters and packages. I mean, we're talking financial services, passport help even. It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is fascinating how India Post is using this massive network they have
Hmm.
to bring all these essential services to people all across India, especially in rural areas,
Mm.
where access to banks and government offices can be pretty limited.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually really surprised by just how many different financial products they offer. I mean, they've got everything from just basic savings accounts to fixed deposits. They even have these special programs that are specifically designed for certain groups, like senior citizens and women. Like, did you know that you can get an ATM card that's actually linked to your post office savings account?
Oh yeah, that's the India Post Payments Bank, or IPPB. It's pretty amazing. It's a total game changer. Think about it. People who may have never even had access to a regular bank before, now they have a way to manage their own money, make payments digitally, and they can even start building a credit history. That's huge. It's a huge step toward financial inclusion.
Okay, so let's break this whole financial inclusion idea down a little bit more. What exactly makes the post office savings account, or POSA? What makes the POSA stand out, and how does it actually help people who maybe don't have traditional bank accounts?
Well, one of the biggest things that prevents people from opening a bank account is that they usually require a minimum balance.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have that much money. But the POSA totally gets rid of that barrier by having a super low minimum balance, which means that people with smaller incomes can actually open an account. And that opens up a whole world of possibility.
Oh, wow, I see.
Like they can finally start saving money securely, they can receive government benefits directly into their account, and some of them can even qualify for microloans, all through their post office account.
That's really cool. So it's not just about having an account, it's about having an account that actually works for you. Okay, so let's say someone is looking to grow their savings over time. What would be the advantage of going with a time deposit through India Post? I saw something in these documents about tax exemptions.
Yeah, you're talking about their 5-year time deposit scheme.
Hmm.
And you're right, the tax exemption is a big perk, especially for people who are saving for the long term. It makes it a much better option than similar products that are offered by private banks. Because with those, the interest you earn is usually fully taxable.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, you don't have to pay taxes on that money. So it can really make a difference in how much money you end up with.
Wow, that's a really good point. So it seems like India Post is really trying to meet a lot of different needs. We've got the basic savings account, the time deposit for people who are saving long term, and then there's this Mahila Samman Savings Certificate,
Yeah.
or MSSC. It's a savings option just for women. That's pretty interesting.
Definitely. The MSSC is specifically designed to help women become more financially independent. It's a 2-year certificate with a really good interest rate, and there's a lock-in period of 6 months. So this can help women build up their savings, save up for specific goals, and just gain more control over their own finances.
That's awesome. I'm also seeing in these documents this PM Cares for Children scheme,
Yeah.
which seems like a really impactful program. So this one aims to help kids who lost their parents to COVID-19, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a great initiative that shows how India Post is involved in social welfare. It goes way beyond just offering financial products. This scheme provides a monthly stipend for the child to help with their upbringing and their education, and then when they turn 23, they get a lump sum payment. So it's really about making sure these kids have all the resources and support they need to have a better future.
That's really heartwarming to see. It's great that they're thinking about those vulnerable groups and using their reach to actually make a difference. And of course, we can't forget about the senior citizens. So tell me more about this Senior Citizens Savings Scheme, or SCSS. What makes that a good option for people who are retired?
The SCSS is all about security and stability, which are usually the top priorities for senior citizens. It offers a fixed interest rate that's paid out every quarter, so that gives them a really reliable source of income. Plus, there's some tax benefits that come with the interest they earn. So it's a really appealing option for retirees who are looking for a way to maximize their income.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From the basic savings accounts to all these special schemes for specific groups of people, it's really clear that India Post is serious about this whole financial inclusion mission, and they've got a lot of different products and services to help make that happen. But before we get too far into all that, you mentioned something else at the beginning about passport services. I'm really curious to learn more about that.
Oh, yeah. That's the Post Office Passport Seva Kendra Initiative, or POPSK. They've set up these special centers inside post offices all over the country. And it's completely changing how people get access to this essential government service.
That's really interesting. So how many of these POPSKs are we talking about? And what's the big deal about having them inside post offices?
Okay, get ready for this number. There are 442 POPSKs nationwide. Now think about this. India is a huge country with a lot of people living in rural areas. And in the past, if you needed to get a passport, it usually meant traveling a really long way to a big city, which could take a lot of time and money. But now they've made it so much easier by putting these passport services right inside the post office network. So now people don't have to travel as far.
Wow, 442.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So for someone who lives in like a small town or village, what would it be like to use a POPSK? What are the benefits compared to the old way of doing things?
Well, it's a total game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you live in a small village and you need a passport. You know, before these POPSKs existed, you might have had to travel for hours, maybe even a whole day, just to get to a passport office in some big city, which means you have to take time off work, figure out how to get there. And you might even have to find a place to stay overnight. It can get really expensive.
Yeah.
But now, with the POPSK, you just go to your local post office. The people who work there are trained to help you through the whole application process. They can help you fill out all the forms, and they even take your biometric data right there. So it's way more convenient, and it saves people a lot of money.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It really streamlines the whole process.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier for people who don't live in those big cities. It seems like India Post is really going above and beyond to be this one-stop shop for important services. It's honestly making me rethink how I see the post office.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It really shows how much they're committed to keeping up with the times and meeting all the different needs of the Indian population. They're not just stuck in the past as this old-fashioned postal service. They're constantly coming up with new ideas and expanding what they offer.
Absolutely. And speaking of expanding what they offer, we've talked about the POSA and the time deposits. But I'm seeing a lot of other financial products in these documents. Like there's the monthly income scheme or MIS and the Public Provident Fund or PPF. And even something called the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana.
Oh, yeah. They've got a ton of options. It's like a buffet of financial products.
Yeah.
They really do have something for everyone.
So tell me a little bit more about these.
Okay, so the MIS is perfect for people who want to get a regular monthly income. You make one big investment up front, and then you get regular payments for a certain amount of time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the PPF is more of a long-term savings option. It's got some nice tax benefits, so it's a good way to save up for retirement. And the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana is specifically for parents who want to save money for their daughter's education and future.
Wow, so they're covering all kinds of needs here. It's really incredible how they've managed to include all these financial services along with their regular mail and package deliveries. I'm also seeing something called the National Savings Certificate, or NSC, and the Kisan Vikas Patra, or KVP.
Oh, yeah, those are popular too.
So what are those all about?
Well, the NSC is a good choice for people who want a guaranteed return on their investment. You invest your money for a certain amount of time, usually 5 years. And then at the end of that time, you get your money back plus interest.
Okay.
And the KVP is a little bit different. With that one, your investment actually doubles over a set period of time.
Oh, wow.
So it's an easy way to grow your savings, especially if you don't want to deal with complicated investments.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've got savings accounts, fixed deposits, schemes for senior citizens, women, and children, and now even these investment options. It's really impressive just how much they offer. What do you think is the most significant part of all this? What's the big takeaway for our listeners?
I think the most impactful thing is their dedication to financial inclusion, especially in rural areas and places where people haven't had access to these services before. You know, these services aren't just available in big cities. They're reaching every part of the country through all these post offices. And this is giving people who might have been excluded from the formal financial system a real chance to participate, to save money, to invest, and to just build a better future for themselves and their families.
It's like they've given everyone equal access to financial services,
Yeah,
which is really powerful. And by making these services available through the post office, they're using an institution that people already know and trust. I mean, people already have a relationship with their local post office. They trust the people who work there. So it makes sense to offer these new services in that same familiar environment.
Definitely. It helps to overcome a lot of the hesitation that people might have when it comes to dealing with financial institutions.
So what we're looking at here is more than just financial products and services. It's really about empowering people, making things accessible, and creating opportunities for everyone, no matter where they live or how much money they have.
I totally agree.
It really highlights how institutions can change and adapt to meet the needs of society. What used to be just a postal service has now become this multifaceted organization that's connecting people, promoting financial inclusion, and driving progress. So for our listener who sent in all these fascinating documents about India Post, I think it's safe to say that they've shown us a side of this institution that we never would have imagined.
Sure.
It really makes you wonder what other hidden gems are out there. What other surprises we might find if we take a closer look at the institutions we see every day.
Yeah, it really makes you think, what else is out there? Like what other potential is just waiting to be discovered?
Right. I mean, we tend to just go about our routines and not really question things. But when we actually stop and take a closer look at something like India Post, it's amazing what we find.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about offering a bunch of services. It's about making sure those services are useful and easy for people to use.
Exactly.
Like you could have the best financial product in the world, but if nobody understands how to use it, it's not going to do any good.
Yeah, that's so true. It's all about that balance between access and usability. And from what we've seen today, it seems like India Post has done a really good job of making these services accessible and easy to understand, especially for people who are new to things like banking or government processes.
Yeah, it's like they really took the time to understand what their customers need.
Yeah.
And then they designed their services to meet those needs.
For sure. They're not just trying to sell products, they're offering solutions.
Right. And I think that's what makes this so inspiring. It's not about checking off boxes or meeting some quota. It's about actually giving people the tools they need to improve their lives.
Yeah, this whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. I always knew the post office existed, but I never realized just how much of an impact it has, especially in a country as big and diverse as India.
I know what you mean. It shows that institutions can change and grow to meet the needs of society. What used to be just a place to mail letters has now become this incredible organization that's connecting people, helping them become financially included, and just making things better for everyone.
So to our listener who sent us all this information about India Post, we encourage you to go check out your local post office. You might be surprised by what you find.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe there's an easier way to apply for your passport or a new savings plan that's perfect for you.
Who knew the post office could be so cool? It just goes to show you that innovation can happen anywhere.
It really does.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.